think this is one standoff I'm gonna respectfully back down from. Crotalus, horridus. To this day, the timber rattlesnake still maintains its original Linnaean classification name, but is the timber rattlesnake really a horrible creature? Or is it a more unique creature that happens to be a very important part of the ecosystem here at Catoctin Mountain Park? Well, today we're going to see if we can't find some out there and see what they're really all about. So let's move on through the mountain. So what do timber rattlesnakes do for most of the day? Well, to be frank, not that much. They are sit and wait predators, meaning that they will wait in one position and ambush their prey, and when something comes across its strike zone, the snake will reach out, hit it with its fangs, and let the venom do the rest of the work. Now, they will primarily feed on small mammals, so this is stuff like chipmunks, squirrels, mice, voles. That's what they specialize in because timber rattlesnakes, like all other pit vipers, can see in infrared. They can read out heat signatures, and when they see a small warm-blooded mammal cross their path, they know that that is food, and they can go out and take advantage of it and strike quick, strike fast. But they will also feed on other animals, such as small amphibians like toads, frogs. They may go after birds, but when you're talking about a specialized predator, rattlesnakes are expert in going after small mammals. But besides eating, most of the time they will just curl up in a nice cool area where occasionally they can come out to bask, and that's about it. They'll just stay rather inactive for most of their day, and then they don't even have to feed every day. Every once in a while they'll come out, they'll feed, and then they'll go back into a nice resting pose. It's very, very efficient in how they maintain their energy levels, and that also makes them really tough to find since they're not that active and out and about. So we're gonna have to be real lucky and real vigilant in order to see some today. So let's keep on moving. The timber rattlesnake is one of 2 venomous snake species that you can find here in the park, the other of which is the northern copperhead. Now, being a pit viper, timber rattlesnakes have long, hollow fangs that can deliver a very lethal dose of venom, so it's very important to make sure that you're giving these snakes plenty of space if you happen to encounter one out in the park. Now, their venom is primarily composed of a hemotoxin, meaning that it will attack blood cells and blood vessels. In other parts of their range, particularly in the southern portion of its home range, you'll notice that populations will also have a little bit of neurotoxin in their venom, meaning that it will attack the cardiovascular system and cause stuff like cardiac arrest and paralysis. They're a very dangerous snake, we can't beat around the bush, but luckily they're a docile animal. So as long as we give them their space, they will give us our own space, and we don't have to worry about any human and snake conflicts. Snakes love this kind of habitat. It's cool and damp underneath the rock, so they can easily maintain their body temperature by going in and out between the sunshine and the damp moisture. And also, it provides them a nice shelter underneath where they can stay safe during the day. So we're going to keep on looking for this kind of stuff along the mountain, and let's keep on moving. So this is a baby, and the way you can tell is if you look at his tail, you'll notice that he only has a little button on the end. And now, when they're born, they'll just have that little button, and each time they shed, they'll add a new layer onto their rattle, making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So the older the rattlesnake, the larger the rattle. But it's not always the case, because sometimes parts of the rattle can come off, but they're easily replaced every time the snake sheds. So just look at this little guy. Hopefully one of many more to find out here. No one said it was gonna be easy, but in order to go where the snakes are, you're gonna have to traverse a lot of rugged terrain. So female timber rattlesnakes have the unique ability to store sperm inside their bodies. Now, let's say they mate in the previous year. The females then can enter into the winter dens, and when they emerge in the springtime, they'll spread out across the terrain, moving away from the den. And then when it comes to the early summer period, they'll start to migrate towards areas where there's a little more open terrain, where there's good areas which they can den underneath to protect themselves while they're going through the gestation period. And gradually, the young litter inside them will develop and develop until later on in the summertime, when she will give live birth to her litter of about 8 to 13 baby rattlesnakes. Take a look at this one's coloration. You'll notice it's a yellowish hue. Now, this is the most common color variant of the timber rattlesnake that you can find here at Catoctin Mountain Park and across the Blue Ridge. There are other variants, so there's also a black morph, but this is more common at higher elevations where it's a little cooler, so the darker coloration helps them warm their bodies better in the sunlight. And if you go to the south, where they're known as canebrake snakes, there you'll notice it's a more beige, tannish coloration. So in each different region, north to south, you'll notice different color variations of the snake. And genetically, you'll notice that each of these snakes are different as you move east to west. As you know, you have more ridges and there's more separation of the populations that way. But either way, the yellow morph is definitely a very, very beautiful snake. Historically, the timber rattlesnake could be found all across the state of Maryland, but because of habitat loss and persecution, a lot of their populations have been driven up to higher elevations or to protected forested areas. Now, when we're talking about habitat loss, we're mostly talking about suburban and urban development. The areas that are built up into housing developments no longer have sufficient spaces for the rattlesnakes to den through the winter, and their prey items will also go down, meaning their populations will drop. Now, human persecution is another problem that has plagued rattlesnakes throughout history. Most of the cases, people fear rattlesnakes and their first instinct is to go ahead and kill them. There are historical records, actually, of boys coming up from Thurmont up here to the Catoctin Mountains purposely just to hunt rattlesnakes. So, human history and rattlesnake history normally don't end pretty well for the rattlesnake. But that's why we have places now like Catoctin Mountain Park where their populations can remain safe and untouched from humans, where they can still thrive and perform their normal ecosystem functions. So despite being depicted as a very dangerous snake that most people are afraid of and would rather see dead, the timber rattlesnake does play a very important role in the Catoctin Mountain Park's ecosystem, and it's important that we respect that balance that they preserve here in the park. So, if you ever happen to see one, just make sure you give it its respectful distance and say a little bit of thanks, because it's because of them that we can actually keep a lot of our prey populations in check, and they're just a beautiful animal. So hopefully the next time you visit us here at the park, you might be able to see one from a safe distance.